Today, we are diving into one of the most misunderstood muscle groups in the entire body, the back. If you've been training back and feel nothing but your arms working, or you've been doing the same rows over and over again and not getting any results, it's because you're not training the correct muscle groups at the correct angle. So let's break down all the different muscle groups in your back and give you some tips and tricks for how to train them at the right angles with the right exercises. Section number one, we're gonna start with the upper back. So that includes your traps, your rhomboids, and your rear delts. These muscles stabilize the shoulder blades and help with retraction and elevation. They're crucial for good posture and overall pulling strength. Some example exercises that hit your upper back are face pulls, pull aparts, and any kind of row where your elbows are up high, out wide, and you're pulling towards your chest. All right, so let's walk through an example of an upper back exercise. We're gonna do a simple face pull with a resistance band. This applies to pretty much any upper back exercises. So let's walk through it. So I usually like to start with a resistance band anchored roughly about like face height or maybe like chin height. And then I usually take a wider grip to start with. And then I always get tension at the beginning. You want tension pulling those scapulas into that extended or protracted position. And then what we're gonna do is we're pulling high and wide, and we're pulling with our elbows. We're not pulling with our arms. We wanna pull with our elbows. Try to drive those elbows back behind the spine. We're pulling towards our upper chest, and we're high with the elbows and wide. So when you get to the top, I want you pulling those shoulder blades back, getting those elbows behind your spine, and imagine you're squeezing a pencil or something in between your shoulder blades to really make sure that you're squeezing those inner back muscles, and then control it, let it down nice and slow, reach forward, full extension, same thing on the way back, all the way up, elbows back, pulling with our elbows, squeeze those scapulas, and then control it on the way down. All right, section number two is the lats, or the latissimus dorsi. That is the biggest muscle group in your back. It's responsible for that V taper when you can see them underneath of your arms from the front or from the back. And they're responsible for shoulder extension, abduction, which is pulling the elbow towards the center of the body, and internal rotation. Key exercises for the lats are lat pull downs, seated rows or single arm rows where your elbow is coming in tight to your side to get that adduction going, and some straight arm pull downs to work on extension. All right, let's walk through one of my favorite lat exercises. We're gonna do a chest supported single arm row, and I'm gonna give you a bunch of the form cues so that we can be sure that we're targeting the lats and trying to get as many other muscles out of the equation as possible so that we can focus solely on building the lats and making sure that those get engaged, because it's not always easy to be able to engage the right muscle groups. So let's walk through this. I like to set this up with a bench or something that you support your chest on, because then that fully isolates the lat. I got a band here. You can use a cable or whatever as well, and make sure that you have enough tension on the band to pull that shoulder into full extension, really stretch that lat out at the top of the rep. And then remember, we're pulling with our elbow here. The hand, forearm, that's all just kind of along for the ride. So we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on getting that lat engaged. So you're gonna plant your chest firmly into the pad. Don't walk your chest off as we're going. And then we're gonna reach forward, full stretch. That band should pull you into this full stretch. And then we're gonna start by bringing that elbow back and down, right? So we're pulling back and down, not just back. That's probably one of the big critical things to remember here. And you're driving that elbow into your side. So we're getting that adduction, squeezing that in, and then we're pulling back and down like you're driving your elbow into your back pocket. So again, we'll start from the top, chest planted, pulling down and back, driving that elbow behind our spine and squeezing it into our side. Full retraction here, big squeeze. Let it down slow. reach that elbow forward and hit it again. Hand is just along for the ride. Big squeeze on the lat. And that's how we do some single arm rows. And of course, these cues apply to the majority of the lat focused rowing exercises. Next up, section 3, we're talking about the mid back. Now this includes the mid traps, teres major, and the rhomboids. These muscles are also responsible for scapular retraction and stabilization, and they give you that thickness look in the mid back where you can see the ridges that come out between and around your shoulder blades, and it basically gives you that 3D look. Some key exercises to hit the mid back are neutral grip rows, chest supported rows, and T-bar rows, and any kind of row where your arms or elbows are at about a 45-degree angle and you're pulling back into that like sternum region. All right, time for another example. We're gonna do a bent over row with a bar. This is very similar to like a T-bar row, but it's just a little bit more free floating. So there's gonna be a little bit of low back stabilization involved, but you can still get really good mid back engagement. So when you set this up, the form cues, we want to lock ourselves in at like a 45-degree angle with our back, and then we're also going to be at about a 45 with our elbows as we're pulling up. And just like before, kind of have that mid grip, and then we're pulling with the elbows. The hands are just along for the ride. We're going to pull it up with them elbows coming back, and then we're going to focus on retracting the scapulas, get those elbows behind our spine, pulling up into the sternum. Big squeeze, exhale on the way down, and control it. Don't get too much momentum involved where you're like pulling it. That's gonna get way more lower back involved than you need to. So you wanna stay really rigid with the angle of your spine and keeping that spine tight, keeping your abs pulled in tight, pulling up, elbows back, exhale, big squeeze, let it down nice and slow. And we're not jerking this or yanking this up off the floor. It's all smooth and controlled, starting with the lats, starting with the shoulder blades, retracting and pulling up to that sternum, and control it on the way down. All right, finally, section number 4, the lower back, and that is your erectors or the erector spinae. It's a group of 9 muscles that are deep within your back, and they run along both sides of your spine. They help with spinal extension, posture, and hip hinging. These muscles are critical for supporting your entire upper body in the big compound movements like deadlifts, squats, and any kind of unsupported rows. And those are the movements where you're gonna be moving heavy weight. So you want these muscles to be well developed and strong. Otherwise, they're gonna become the weak link in the chain of your compound movements. Key exercises for this muscle group would be body weight Supermans, good mornings, hyperextensions, or reverse hyperextensions. All right, one of my favorites and probably the easiest to set up no matter where you're at to work the lower back and the erectors would be a banded good morning. And this is a hip hinge exercise. And one big thing to remember here, so we're hip hinging here, and the band is gonna kind of come up around our neck. So there's gonna be a really long lever arm. So basically what that means is there's going to be a lot of torque put around that lower back, so you won't need a lot of resistance. So I like to always start by just coaching a body weight version of this and then slowly adding the resistance, because we do not want to risk injuring the lower back. We're trying to strengthen it here, of course. So some big cues on this are we need to keep our core engaged and pulled in tight, because that's going to support our spine. We want to keep a neutral spine here. And then as we're hinging forward, I always like to say, stick your butt out behind you. because that'll help you to focus on hinging at the hips. And as we come down, we're keeping that spine in a neutral and straight position. We do not want to be hunching the spine forward. We're not going to be going down by hunching and rolling the spine. That's a big no-no. And the other thing is, when you're coming back up, you do not want to hyperextend or arch that back, because that is what's going to cause the injury. So we're sticking our butt out behind us. We're going to lean forward, and you're going to feel a big stretch in your glutes and your hamstrings, and you kind of go down as low as you can go before your back starts to hunch over, and then you slowly change directions. Do not like jerk or yank yourself up out of the bottom of this rep, because that is where most of the injuries happen. So just control it and come back up, bringing them hips forward and standing up vertically. Now we can load it up with the band. I like to have the band more out in front so that when I'm bent over, it's pulling down at a straight line. You can also stand on the band. This just feels better to me, and the force vector is in a better orientation. So we're gonna put that up over our neck, get ourselves ready here, positioned so we feel good, standing up straight, and we're supporting that band as low as you can so that it's not putting a lot of stress on your neck. We're not going to be going heavy here, so you should not feel strain and stress in your neck. I just rest my hands on the side. Now we're sticking that butt out, keeping the abs and core pulled in tight, neutral spine, coming down nice and slow. Big stretch. Pause at the bottom, change directions, thrusting the hip forward, coming back up, stand up straight. And that's one rep. Nice and slow and controlled, big stretch. And there you go. That's how we do banded good mornings. Final takeaway: to build your back, you have to train it from all angles. It's not just about rows and pull downs. It's about elbow path, grip variation, pull angle, and body position. So if this video helped you understand how to train your back more effectively, be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a comment below about what area of your back you're going to be working on next. Also, if you need any of the resistance bands or accessories shown today, head over to clenchfitness.com. We would love to hook you up. And also, if you want to see more content like this, check out the on-screen video links. We have tons of content about getting better at home with bands or weights. And thank you so much for watching.